Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ms. Gray, one of the counselors in the guidance department, and we want to thank you all for coming out this afternoon. Wonderful to see all you beautiful Broncos, Bronco teachers, Bronco students, Bronco parents, Bronco community. Give yourselves a hand for being here today. Welcome to the Lee Summit North High School Black History Program. Presented by the Black Student Union here at LSN. I want to say thank you first and foremost to Dr. Jeff Meisenheimer, our principal, for allowing us to have this program today, and also for supporting the efforts of the Black Student Union as a necessary and valuable part of the Lee Summit North culture. Also, I want to thank Mr. Palmer for being patient with us and doing this production today. We couldn't have done it without him. It is our hope today to educate, also to enlighten, and to entertain a little bit as well. So we hope you enjoy the program. We would like to begin the program today by singing what's called the National Black Anthem, which is Lift Every Voice and Sing. So we always stand when this song is sung, so if you all could stand, we're going to have Gabby James and Brandon Martin sing the song for us today.
African societies exemplified excellence. Today, there are many misconceptions about the birthplace of our rich ancestry. Myth: Africa mostly consists of grassy plains and big jungles. Fact: Africa is home to some of the world's largest megacities. As of 2015, it had 11 urban areas with more than 5 million inhabitants each. Myth: Africa is poor and always will be. Fact: Africa has 40% of the world's gold and 90% of its chromium and platinum.
False. Africa is a language. Fact. The people of Africa speak over 2,000 languages, among them English, French, Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese. Africa is a country. Myth. Africa is a continent with 54 countries. Fact.
Myth: Africa was not civilized before colonization. Fact: It is estimated that Africa had up to 10,000 different states and autonomous groups with distinct languages and customs prior to European colonization. This is the true representation of Africa today. African culture is beautiful and exciting. We celebrate the origins of African American history. On June 19, 1865, 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, Union soldiers announced in Galveston, Texas, that the Civil War had ended and that all slaves were now free. Juneteenth, celebrated annually on June 19th, is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the end of slavery in the United States.
From Africa's heart, we rose. Already people, our faces of bond, our bodies lean, we rose. Skilled in art, life, beauty, and family, crushed by forces we knew nothing of, we rose. Survive, we must, we did, we rose. We rose to be you, we rose to be me. Above everything expected, we rose. To become the knowledge we never knew, we rose. Dream, we did, act, we must.
period, referred to as the New Negro Movement, the Harlem Renaissance was the development of the Harlem neighborhood in New York City as a Black cultural mecca in the early 20th century and the subsequent social and artistic explosion that resulted. Lasting roughly from the 1910s through the mid-1930s, the period is considered a golden age in African American culture, manifesting in literature, music, stage performance, and art.
The Harlem Renaissance is one of the most iconic cultural periods in African American history. Throughout the decade of the 1920s, Black writing, art, and music flourished, ushering in a cultural revolution that rocked the United States.
One of the most important factors that accounted for the rise of what we know of as the Harlem Renaissance was the migration of Black peoples from the South to urban centers like Harlem.
The Jim Crow era began after Reconstruction, and every Southern African American had to think about, what should we do? Should we go or should we stay? For many of these people, it was a matter of life and death, literally.
Sometimes in the most repressive times, we create the most extraordinary art.
Amidst the fervor of the Great Migration, bold, exciting forms of Black music evolved, along with venues to listen and dance to this music. Blues and jazz clubs became a central part of life in Harlem, where artists such as Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington, Bessie and Mamie Smith rose to prominence. The era also saw the burgeoning of literary work by and about African Americans, which the writer Alain Locke compiled into an anthology. He called it The New Negro, and its name came to define a movement.
The Harlem Renaissance is a facet of a larger movement that we think of as the New Negro movement, where you have a new generation of Black people, by this point, 2 generations out of slavery, using the arts as a way to help people gain broader civil and political rights.
Some of the framers of what became the Renaissance make the argument that the artistic worth of the people has to be proven by the worth of the art and literature they've produced, and especially for people that historically, over centuries, have been defined as without culture, without history, and without any record of achievement.
The Harlem Renaissance is the flowering of creativity that had been suppressed for centuries. People had the sense that things were opening up, and finally, we could be the people that we imagine ourselves to be.
Tryna rain on the thunder, tell the storm I'm new. I'ma walk, I'ma march on the regular, painted white, glass blue. Lord forgive me, I've been running blind and true. I'ma rain on this river, till the sweet I'm blue.
Ooh, I'm telling these tears going to fall away, oh. Grass one burn you to flames. Freedom, freedom, I can't move. Freedom, come me loose. Freedom, freedom, where are you? I need freedom too.
I break chains all by myself.
Let my freedom run in hell.
Hey, I'ma
I am not tragically colored. There is no great sorrow dammed up in my soul, nor lurking behind my eyes. I do not mind at all. I do not belong to the sobbing school of Negrohood who hold that nature somehow has given them a low-down, dirty deal and whose feelings are all heard about. Even in the helter-skelter skirmish that is my life, I have seen that the world is to the strong, regardless of a little pigmentation more or less. No, I do not weep at the world. I am too busy sharpening my oyster knife.
I too sing America. I am the darker brother, the singing to eat in the kitchen when company comes. But I laugh and eat well and go strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table. When company comes, no one will dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Then, they'll be ashamed to see how beautiful I am. I too am America.
Over the next 50 years, there were many significant African events that positively and negatively affected Black Americans. 1960s, June 2nd, 1964. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 is signed into law. This legislation makes it illegal for people to discriminate against other people because of their race, color, religion, sex, or national origin when making hiring and firing decisions, and requires all public places, including schools, to desecrate. In 1970s, during this decade, Black people made great strides in politics, academics, sports, and business. February 9, 1971, Leroy Satchel Paige was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. He is the first former Negro Baseball League player to be inducted. He is hired by the Cleveland Indians, where he has 61 hits, scores 22 runs, and hits 2 home runs, astonishing for a pitcher. At age 42, he is the oldest rookie in the major leagues and caps his first MLB season by helping the Indians win the World Series.
The 1980s saw an important first for Black people recognized for their excellence in science, literature, entertainment, and politics. On November 3rd, 1983, Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday becomes a federal holiday. The journey for African Americans has been difficult, but the belief in God has and always will carry us through.
Gospel music is a staple in the African American community, and it stemmed out of during slavery period. One thing, lots of things were taken from us, but one thing that could not have been taken from, was not taken from us, is music. And so, what you will be hearing now is a gospel song from the 90s era called "I Shall Wear a Crown."
I shall wear a crown. I shall wear a crown. When it's all over. When it's all I'm gonna put on my robe, tell the story how I made it over, made it over, made it over.
The 1990s, a time of advances and setbacks for Black people, a social reckoning. October 17, 1995, the Million Man March is held in Washington, D.C., organized by Minister Louis Farrakhan. The purpose of the march is to teach solidarity. Farrakhan is assisted in organizing the event by Benjamin F. Travis, Jr., who was the former executive director of the National Association of the Advancement of Colored People.
On the historic night of November 4th, 2008, President Barack Obama was elected the first African American president of the United States of America.
Look up here now, folks. What I want you to see on the screen, all of these young ladies are graduates of this wonderful, illustrious school. They're doing wonderful things. One day, this should be you. You might be the first to make history. There are a lot of firsts to still be made in this United States of America. So maybe you'll be Elena Thomas, who runs a talent agency and is employed by Alvin Ailey. Maybe you'll be Miss Courtney Goldman, who's living on the East Coast now, living her best life. Maybe you'll be Miss Simone Dumas, who's working on her doctorate, and she's in education and aspires to be a superintendent one day. Or Miss Simone Wells, who's a teacher at Kaufman Schools. Or even Bailey White, who's also my cousin. But she is a law student, and she will graduate from UMKC's School of Law in 2 years, I believe. Or maybe you will be one of these young men. D'Angelo Dunbar, a teacher in Arizona, and his brother, BJ Dunbar, also a teacher in the state of Kansas. Or Mondale Hampton, who works for the Postal Service, even though his undergrad and graduate degrees are social work and criminal justice. Or maybe Mr. Jordan Hickman, who is an indie rock artist and will be a music major next year. Or Chase Salazar, who's a director of health, safety, and environmental utilities. We aspire for Black excellence. We want this to be you one day. No matter who you are, this is a Black History program, but excellence is about all of you. All of you striving to be better, to be the best version of yourselves. So we want to leave you with a little bit of inspiration. Next slide. And we have a poem, a last poem that will be recited by two of our students.
Here's another poem from a relatively brown scale mark, but this is just not like any other pro-Black poem or the progressive statement to say that we are done with the racial status and we are called for excellence.
To be excellent, for excellence speaks of itself and requires no explanation. It's diligent with the work at hand and always shows up on time. We are not late, lazy, or loud, and no, you cannot touch my hair.
But intelligent, ambitious, and productive individuals, so think what you like. We refuse to confirm the stereotypes fitting into white archetypes. Now we break the mold.
Young black gentlemen, some that grew up on the streets and learned to handle our business But our business is also in the offices, so we can flip it from urban to corporate, and you'll be none the wiser.
We strive for black excellence, black entrepreneurs, and black dignities. We are more than just rappers and ball players found on street corners. We are black lawyers, diplomats, and anything we see ourselves being capable of. Now, to some degree, some of you will only associate this poem with the color of my skin, but if you listen, truly listen, you will understand that black excellence is simply to be.
I use the word black because I knew it'll get your attention. I mentioned the color of my skin and we already feel uneasy because our minds are programmed to believe that our skin tones are the building blocks of his or her success.
And if you're black, you shouldn't expect less. Your work is twice as hard. So many stereotypes, but none speak of excellence. So I choose to be. Today I choose to break the silence and say I can be black and I can be excellent.
I hope you listened to the words of that song. I would like to recognize, hopefully, I'm not sure if they're here, but I invited a few first in our district. Do we have Miss Shelly Sanders in the audience? Miss Sanders? Would you mind coming to the stage? Do we have Miss Megan Marshall? No? Do we have Mr. Rock Sparks? Oh, okay. Oh, excellent. Excellent. I invited these folks because they work on your behalf. And they're the first in this district. Miss Marshall and Mr. Sparks are members of our Board of Education. Miss Marshall is our Vice President of that board. And then Miss Sanders, I'm going to mess up your title, Miss Sanders. Ms. Sanders works with equity for our district and our central office. Each of them is the first in this district, the first African American to represent that position in this district. So again, any of you out there could be up here, or either of you out there might be a first somewhere else. So we hope that you enjoyed this presentation. And would either of you like to have anything to say? Because we have like a minute and a half. You don't have to, but if you, of course.
All right, a few seconds, because the bell's going to ring in about a minute. I just want to say that this program was wonderful. The students here, which are probably backstage, great job. This was wonderful. Come on out here. So I challenge every single one of you to step into your power, okay? I know this is Black History Month, but I'll be the first to say, I hope I'm not the first to say, that this is everybody's history, okay? So I challenge you to be the first and be the best at some area in your life. All right, that's it.
Thank you all again. Have a great weekend. Be safe.